It is, what is it, Thursday? I'll never get used to that. Thursday, the 20th of July. And this is called an AMA because you ask questions and I answer them. Got a bit of a lighting issue. It's actually bright outside in Estonia today, which is weird. We get, I think, 4 days of sunshine a year. And this apparently is the third, I believe. So I got a lot of sunlight coming in. Plus I got a light. I don't know. My whole lighting's off, but I tried to set up as fast as I could. Hopefully it looks okay. I don't know. I need to get a sound check. So let's do a sound check. Last time we were doing this, I forgot to ask for the sound check. I think I was 15 minutes in before I realized nobody could hear me. And apparently everybody's really bad at lip reading. Lip reading, yeah, lip reading. Yeah, that's a thing. All right, sound check, please. Give me a sound check, sound check, sound check. Somebody out there, for God's sake, give me a sound check. I need a sound check. Sound check. Loud and clear. All right, thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Yeah, and actually in the office. Still got the hoverboard. It's over there somewhere. That's not how I got to the office, though. If that was the case, I'd probably be bloody, and you'd realize. All right, jumping right in. This is not a question, but since, my pal Harold, I'm going to give him some screen time. Hey, Harold, how are you? What's up, Charlie? How you doing? I don't know. So, hey, make it a good one. Can't watch live. Hey, Azzy Mike, I'll try my best. Wasn't asleep. I was trying to set things up. So here we are. Hello, Kevin, please no scammerino, rug pullerino. Okay, do my best to not rug pullerino. Any insights into what you will be speaking to at Cyberpunk in September? I didn't even know I was going to be at Cyberpunk in September. No, I think that's, what is that the Flux? Cadena? I think it's Flux, yeah? I don't know yet, actually. Whatever they tell me to speak about, I'm speaking about. I kind of like when I don't know what I'm going to speak about. It puts me on my toes, keeps me on. I think it's keep you on your toes, but I have no idea yet, actually. But I'm sure it'll be something funny or cool or interesting or all three of those. I don't know. Works fine. Thanks, Harold. Back at the office. Yep. I need a question, guys. Come on. The idea would be to retrieve several. What is this? Okay, I didn't get a first post on this, but let's say the idea would be to retrieve several of XCM utilities, such as referral bonuses, by lowering it and allowing many people to sell a little bit every week or so. I didn't get the first piece of that, so I really don't. You're going to have to come back to me on that one, Charlie. Let's get the essentials out of the way. How's the funding? Okay, I was waiting on this one. As I'm sure you guys are, everybody here is. I mean, the pinata's waiting on this one, right? So I don't want to let too much of the cat out of the bag. I've been saying a lot of old dude sayings lately. I don't know why, but anyway, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. Last couple of times, I let the cat out of the bag. The cat got out of the bag, looked me dead in the eyes, stole the bag, ran away, set it on fire, peed on it, the whole fucking 9 yards. So without letting the cat out of the bag, we are in talks with a potential large investor that's looking to buy up a good portion of shares. Without getting into too much here, we are through the financials now, looking to probably negotiate on price. And also, this is a fund that's well capitalized. So them coming in now would also mean them being able to back us in the future and give us funds and money we need to really compete and really do some amazing shit. Even though, we've done amazing shit, I think, but much more amazing shit, much faster, and also be able to compete with some of the big boys. So I will have more news on that. Hopefully, maybe even have, we finalized, here's a bottle of champagne for everybody. I'm going to shave my nose hairs live on TV. I don't know. Something may happen next time we talk. But obviously, I'm probably going to spill some beans in Telegram if it happens before then. So just stay tuned. I know Coinmetro is working on this, but is Coinmetro close to having a bank for fiat deposits and withdrawals? We do. What happened was that the bank partner we had previously had SEPA Instant and FPS in the UK. We now have another bank that offers those services. However, they're not integrated yet. We should be integrated before the mid-August, I believe, approximately. We also are working on new credit card providers, which hopefully around that same time, sometime in August. Also working on a new USD bank as well. Actually, we have potentially two options. It may be Swift only at first. We also have an ACH option. I was just having an email conversation back and forth with a new ACH provider. Just need to run a few things by legal to see how we can structure it so we can service more of you in the US. So working on all those things. And actually, it's me working on those things now. We had someone that was working on bank, I would say, well, treasury. Let's put it in treasury and bank relationships. That person's no longer with us. So now that's back on me. I used to do that at the FX company I ran, and I also used to do it here. So back in the driver's seat on that one. Do you think Parsec will ever see adoption? Why did Anatoly abandon us? As far as I know, Anatoly's still with the company. Maybe he's not as, I don't know, visual as he used to be. I think they will. Yeah. I honestly think the thing is that Parsec is an infrastructure that many businesses don't know they need because they don't yet know they need blockchain, or they're not using blockchain, or they don't realize the amount of data that sits on chain, and they don't realize how they can monetize, make use of, et cetera, that data. So there's a long learning curve that needs to happen before things like Parsec can become more mainstream and see more adoption, but I absolutely think it will. By the way, just noticed your name is your mother. For a funny story on that one, when I was in elementary school, there's a kid named Frank Tolles. Hey, Frank, if you're watching, I don't know. Frank Tolles, every time you got in a fight, we used to have, back in the day when I was a kid, you used to do snaps. We called them snaps. That was when you said, my mother's so fat, your mother's so stupid, whatever. I got a ton of those, by the way. If anybody ever wants to do your mother battle, I'm ready, including you, your mother. Anyway, Frank Tolles, his only comeback on anytime somebody would say something to him was simply, your mother. That's it. Nothing else after that. That was it. And that was enough. I think he got into a fight every day on the playground. So any update on XCM liquidity? Hey, Yanni. I don't have an update on XCM liquidity. What I can say is fundraising and a portion of fundraising is going to go toward making sure that XCM book is liquid. We just haven't gotten to the point where we can apply those funds because the money we have brought in on fundraising has just gone into operations and other things. We haven't raised all the money yet. So, but other than that, no update for you yet, but I'm working on it, man. I am still, if not the biggest, one of the biggest XCM holders. So trust me, that's important to me as well on a personal level. When? Got to be a bit more specific on that question, my friend. When what? When? Right now. You just asked. When do we expect credit card payments to be back? Yeah, working on. We have. I think we're going to see an approval from a new merchant provider, potentially even with better fees. Hopefully next week, and then it'll be a few weeks before integration can happen, and then about a week or so for integration. So, working on that, man, and that's me working on it. So you can literally ask me. I'm the horse's mouth on that one. What kind of difficulties arise when you list coins and tokens that are new and comparatively unknown? What kind of resources does it require? Hey, gents. So difficulties. Well, one is custody. So where we hold those assets. If it's relatively new and not really, it's not listed anywhere yet, generally speaking, BitGo and Fireblocks aren't going to probably support it, which means we have to build infrastructure to support it. That induces a bit of risk. It also induces more time and energy that we need to put in to make the listing. If they are supported, but still relatively new, it means that there may not be liquidity if our liquidity provider doesn't support it. If there's no liquidity, that potentially means risk for the end user because obviously spread and slippage can be massive when there's no liquidity. Resources, when it is at a liquidity provider and on, let's say, BitGo or Fireblocks or another custody provider we may use, is about a listing can happen within a day. External, et cetera. So planning still needs to happen, whether it takes one day. Maybe you don't have a day for 3 weeks, so planning is always part of the process. And as far as resources, when we have to write to mainnet, well, that depends on the mainnet. I remember the craziness when we had to write to Cadena's mainnet with their 75 chains. I think we're the only entity at that point to write to all chains. And that caused difficulties because no one else was writing to all chains. So people were trying to send money from us to on the wrong chain to someone else. That was getting lost, etc. So there can always be intricacies when you have to deal with mainnet and different layer ones. Have you ever sold any of your Cadena and parsnips? No. Some more details about the safety and security update mail. Some more details about the safety and security update mail. I think you're talking about this potential data breach. So all I can really say, we're still back and forth with data protection agencies. So right now we're putting together information so that we can provide it for them. Until we do that, I don't know necessarily what's been proven and what hasn't, but I'll give you some high level stuff. Some of that stuff wasn't in the email, right? So a employee's computer got some type of malware that allowed someone basically to take screenshots every so often of what they were doing on the computer. This wasn't, I don't think, targeted because we were a crypto exchange, because I don't think they understood some of the data that they had. And I think I call it a standard kind of, I don't know, data hack, trying to find data. We believe that most of the data that was found is emails, some phone numbers. There are screenshots potentially of some documents. Again, that is still being investigated, and that's why we haven't gotten back to you guys. That's why we haven't given you any more information or new information. Data Protection Agency or Office has also asked us for that additional information. We are currently going through all the different records and logs. The problem with this thing is the thing erased its own logs, but there is some evidence of the logs that were erased. So we're kind of going back in time and trying to figure out exactly what may have been accessed. I can tell you that I've gotten some phone calls that are like, I don't know, obviously fraud phone calls since the past couple of weeks. So on my cell phone. So I think those two things are tied together, though I don't know yet. But when we have more information, we'll let you guys know. Do you own any Monero? I do not. What are the odds of Monero getting listed? Well, there's still banking providers and regulators out there that don't like, Monero for, I guess, what would be obvious reasons, because it's a little more anonymous than pseudo-anonymous. That's changed. Initially, no banks would allow privacy coins. Now, some maybe not care. Some regulators potentially allow, at least up to a certain extent. Plus, to be honest, one place they should always allow these type of things are centralized exchanges that do KYC. Why? Well, because if someone transacts on Monero, now you know who owns the wallet. But, they're a bit slow to catch up to that. And I think that's why we haven't seen kind of penetration across all regulators and potentially all banks saying, oh, this is fine. So for now, I would say it's probably not going to get listed. In the future, if things change, which means that it's accepted more by regulators, et cetera, then that can change as well. This is a tiger in a bag. Better not let it out, as it will create havoc. All right. Excited to hear. Best of luck with the future negotiations. Another question. As I've understood, you have managed to cut CM costs greatly. How far Coinmetro is from being profitable? Well, we have been able to cut costs greatly. At some point, our burn was about $750K a month. It is now roughly around 300. And that's all in. That's with, employees and external parties we work with and service providers and banking costs and blah, 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 blah. We are, revenues are about a third of that, a little more than a third of that. So if we were at our revenue level where we were during the last bull run, we would be profitable right now. With not necessarily more volume per se, but staking and things like that were highly profitable then. And right now they're less profitable because the assets are worth less. So I said worth less, by the way, not worthless, just in case somebody plays this back and memes the shit out of it. So we are, in terms of a multiplier, we need to about triple our current income, maybe 2.5x our current income to be profitable. That multiplier may sound like a big thing. You got to double or triple what you're doing, but in euro terms, we are not far off. Literally one small product tweak or one new listing or, whatever, some higher leverage. There's very small things that could potentially push us in that direction. Especially as more new money comes into the market. Lowering the XCM sell limit is something like 50 XCM per week could allow up to 20. Yeah, okay. So resetting the book again. When we did it the last time, we got a lot of, we got a lot of good feedback, but we also got a lot of bad feedback. I'm not the biggest fan of doing it again. I'd rather work on sustainable ways to make sure that we can remove all those limits and actually have an active book. To do that, we need fundraising. Now, in the event that we raise enough money to kind of move forward and do cool stuff, but not enough really to push as much as we would need into market making XCM, there's a potential future where we do something like this. And of course, it's been something we thought about, though I'm not sure, going from 5,000 to 50 would have a, let's say, 100x change in the terms of amount of orders that are happening. It's probably about the same. Yes, more people may have more of their orders filled, but the guy waiting to sell 50,000 or 10,000, it would still take roughly the same amount of time. So I think the effort should be pointed in a direction that can have the maximum amount of long-term change that leads to sustainability and a liquid book. At least that's in my mind, unless for some reason we can't do that once funding, more funding comes in. Can you please tell us your Andrew Tate story? I met Andrew Tate. I guess I already said that. That's probably the extent of the story that I'm willing to throw out here. I mean, at the €1 party, you asked me again. Parsec needs a name change. Well, I can't help you with that. You could tell them that, though. I don't know. Why do you think it needs a name change? What's wrong with it? Please, no further XAM restrictions. It's nearly sheer impossible to shill XAM with current liquidity and sell limits. Don't need more of those. Yeah, I agree with that to a certain extent. Based Frank. Yeah. Well, of course, we didn't say based back way back then, when people rode horses and I don't know. But yeah, we definitely used the word based. I definitely didn't think he was based when I was in school. That your mother thing got old real fast. Credit cards charge 0.2% per transaction. BitGo charges credit cards charge 0.2 per transaction. I wish. BitGo charges 0.15 per transaction. The promise of crypto is borderless payments without middlemen. Why did we let companies push us into this? I had to say a different word there. First of all, credit cards charge way more than 0.2%. If credit cards charge 0.2%, man, I'd be extremely happy, especially in our industry. Yeah, I get you on this one. I predicted this way back in the day. I think this is the first, if you look on our YouTube channel, the first video that was posted of me speaking at an event, I think it was in UK, in London, back in 2017. I threw a bunch of predictions out there. It's inevitable that third parties and middlemen come into this market. And the real reason is because nobody that was focused on building decentralized infrastructure was focused on building it for normal people. And they're still not. They're building it for them. And the people that deal in decentralized ecosystems and find it really cool, generally speaking, aren't the same people, that are at ShopRite or whatever, the store right now, trying to pick out a good peach and banging it on the floor to see if it's hollow. I mean, there's a big difference between people that, find this stuff sexy and normal everyday people. And that means middlemen come in because they make the process easier. And without those middlemen, look, if there wasn't centralized exchanges and BitGos and blah, 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 and people trying to get fiat into crypto and all these different things, the market cap would be like 18 cents and nobody would give a shit. So it's kind of, sometimes you have to let evil in the door to progress a little bit. And, we are a centralized exchange. I think for the most part, centralization has very, very, I would say, key elements that make it something that will always be here. In the future, I expect more of a hybrid. I expect people to get the best of both worlds, some from decentralization, some from centralization. At the end of the day, though, decentralization, it's going to be very hard to sell to someone that's used to clicking a button on an app to, whatever, buy something, to do whatever, to move money from their checking to savings account, to whatever, whatever they're doing in their day-to-day lives. And that type of infrastructure is still not yet available on DeFi, at least not safely. And I'm not sure it will be. Did you ever use Incor Bank previously? Will you keep it or change it? We've been using Incor Bank, obviously. We've been using Incor Bank for a long time now, but not for Euro SEPA client payments, so client money and or GBP. We were using it mainly for SWIFT and also for other currencies like Australian dollars. So we will absolutely keep it. But we will change to a Maltese IBAN for Euro SEPA instant and a GBP IBAN for faster payments in the UK within the next weeks, because it's just more efficient for you and more efficient for us. When will Coinmetro list gems again? Again. Well, again and when, I guess, I'll kind of go together. Anyway, so your mother, when will list gems again? Well, I don't want to stop listing gems. We proved that listing gems, though it took about a year and a half, was good for Coinmetro. Now the question is how many gems exist, and as we grow and expand and have a bigger, expenditure list every month, and and we start spending more money to keep up with that growth, can we find gems that can actually continue to support that, or do we need to start listing other things? So I think we're always going to be listing gems, but listing gems is not easy. And it's kind of like, picking winners is easier when you're not stressed. And that's as a trader, I'm telling you that, right? When you're stressed and you're trading, you're probably going to lose. You make bad decisions when you're stressed, especially when you're fearful. If you're fearful and you're making decisions, you're probably going to fail every time. So either don't ever be afraid, easier said than done. And in this case, finding really good listings, we have to be on the ball, really on the ball. And so having to deal with fundraising and, the crises that come along when you have limited amount of resource, whether that be human, whether that be money, whether that be whatever, that stuff makes it real difficult to focus on this type of work, to be honest. But I don't think we're ever going to move away from listing gems. Yeah, we might have a bit of a pause, but that's also because, to be honest, during a lot of this, you want to call it a bear market or whatever we've been sitting in, there haven't been many gems, to be honest. Yes, there's been things that have pumped, that people have gone in and bought, and the price goes up and everybody gets all crazy. Like, oh my God, why didn't you list this? It's amazing. And then 3 days later, it's right back where it started or worse. And to me, that's not a gem. Can we get weekly AMAs back when funding is secured? I have no problem doing weekly AMAs. You guys requested, I'll do it. This was done because our communications manager thought that maybe it was better because more people would show up, more people would be involved because it only happened once, a month, once every 3 weeks, whatever it is. But I'm okay with doing them once a week. I like talking to you guys or at you guys or whatever I'm doing. I like it. I've always enjoyed it. So your dad is a Bolt driver, but cycles to work. I'm trying to figure this one out myself. So my dad drives, I don't know if it's my dad, but whatever. But my dad is a Bolt driver, but he cycles to his car to then do his job. That doesn't sound, I suppose it's supposed to make my dad sound stupid, I guess, but I don't think that's that stupid. Maybe he parks his electric car away from the house as to not potentially, get cancer in 40 years. So he has to bike to the car and then sit in it and drive it and then bike back to the house afterward. I don't know. I need a diagram or something to figure this shit out. New XCM staking tiers coming. That's definitely something we've been talking about. That's a product question, man. You got to ask Oliver those things when he does his show. That's why we got 2 shows. You guys ask me what kind of shampoo I use, and you ask Oliver all the important questions. That's how it's supposed to work. Let's say one day the government marks me as a terrorist, all right, for being unvaccinated. Oh boy, I don't know where we're going with this one. If they send a judicial warrant to seize all my assets on Coinmetro, would you oblige? Would you send me a warrant? All right. Look, I can go down a conspiracy rabbit hole with you if you like, but I'm going to say the government's probably never going to mark unvaccinated people as terrorists because there's a lot of us. That'd be pretty difficult. And wouldn't be a good outcome for the government at the end of the day. But let's assume this actually happens. If we get a judicial warrant, it would be illegal for us to warn you about it, actually, and we'd get shut down, and then everybody would lose their money, not just you. So I guess we'd have to kind of stick you out there. But you would probably know already, right? Because if that happened and they started calling people unvaccinated as terrorists and you're unvaccinated, then you should assume you're probably going to be called a terrorist. So you should, move your money before that happens, I guess. So that would kind of be on you, I think, in that situation, not us. Do you have to run your own nodes for all cryptocurrencies? For the most part, yes, we do use some, for instance, Flux runs our Flux nodes for us because they have infrastructure to do that. They actually also used to, they may still run. I don't know if they still run. When we had nodes for Cadena, mainly when we were doing their bonding program. But anyway, so yes, we do. And that doesn't mean we have like our own server farm or something, but yes, we do. We don't use a third party. Are you using an Omnibus account on Fireblocks? Will every single Clean client get their own Fireblocks account in the future? We don't use one single Omnibus. We have a structure that we like to call, I believe, warm, mini warm, and hot wallets on Fireblocks. So it's a collection of Omnibus accounts. With further integration, we could offer everybody their own Fireblocks account. I don't know for normal people how attractive that would be. For larger traders or people moving more money, that would kind of, I think, intermingle with our hybrid solution, which essentially is you don't need to deposit to trade with us. So you could have your money on Fireblocks if they have a non-custodial setup, leave your money in your Fireblocks wallet and only agree that we settle after every trade. And this way we credit to you or you credit to us based on how that trade goes. And I think that's probably when we'll end up with client-owned FB accounts or any other custodial provider that provides non-custodial wallets. The trading campaign and now the margin campaign have been nice. Any statistics on those campaigns, activated inactive accounts or increased volumes? There definitely are statistics. I don't have them sitting with me. Maybe we should also have somebody do a statistics show. I guess I could give that one a shot. I could write all the statistics without any titles, just on my forehead. And then we'd zoom in and you'd have to try to figure out what each one means. And then if somebody won, they'd win like an XCM or something. I don't know. I don't know if that'd be interesting for everybody. Plus, I don't know if I want to write stuff on my forehead, but I mean, it could be interesting. I don't know. Anyway, the point, to get to your point, I just saw stats basically between the first day, the day before the marketing campaign, for margin went off, and the next day, that first day saw an increase of 30x in active trade, in commission generated. So of course, the day before was a very small number. It was one of the lowest in the last 90 days. So maybe it's not the best one to compare, but we definitely have seen people reactivated in those campaigns. We absolutely have seen an increase, at least immediately thereafter, in terms of volumes. We have to see how long that lasts, and also see, how different promotions either maintain those clients as active, or some are more attractive than others. But both of them have definitely seen changes in terms of active users and what they're doing on the platform. Which altcoins do you see having the highest potential returns from here to next bull run? To be honest, I've been so kind of linked into fundraising that I haven't paid attention to the market. When I like something, though, I continue to like it. So unless something major happens that really forces me to have to look the other way, and so I hate to say it as well, but in a crypto bull run, historically speaking, you could throw a dart at a dartboard and hit a pile of shit and still make money. Now, like everything in life, really what matters is not what you pick, it's timing. When you pick it, and not necessarily when you get in, but when you get out. Trading is about getting out, not getting in. And money management. That's it. Those are the only two things: money management and getting out. And if you're good at money management, but you suck getting out, or you're really good at getting out and you suck at money management, you'll lose. Credit cards. So I already saw this one. Yeah, this is the fifth time I've seen this one. Is the 1 inch dump concerning? Is it a scam token? I mean, it's concerning, I guess, if you got a whole big ass bag of 1 inch, and now you can't buy those Doritos that you needed on Saturday with the dip, because who eats Doritos without dip? I don't think it's a scam token. I mean, we could talk about 1 inch as a company and as a DEX and what they're doing. I've actually met a lot of the guys from the institutional team on 1 inch. Some are cool and, got their head on their shoulders the right way. So I don't think 1 inch is a scam token. And just because something dumps in a market driven by retail traders doesn't really mean a thing, to be honest. Still bullish on Cadena? Please be still bullish on Cadena. I'm still bullish on Cadena, yeah. Do you believe in ghosts? If so, have you ever encountered any spirits? I don't. Well, let me put it this way: my belief system in anything is if I see it, or there's evidence that I can actually verify, like verifiable evidence of something, I will assume it exists, even if I've haven't touched it or felt it. And that is not the case with ghosts. So I've never seen a ghost, I don't think, or interacted with one, I don't think. But that doesn't really mean they don't. I mean, maybe I'm just not interesting for ghosts. Maybe I'm like, maybe ghosts are like, don't fuck with that guy. I don't know because I never met one to ask, and I don't know if I asked if they'd even have a response. So, does your recent court decision does the recent court decision XRP mean anything? If so, insofar as XCM being considered security? Well, I predicted this. I gotta say, and I told you so on this one, guys. Come on. So I predicted this. I predicted that a judicial precedent in the U.S. would state that XRP is not a security. And the next step would be that it was actually sold as a security, which they've already kind of gone down the line to say that institutional sales could be deemed as being sold as securities, which will mean Brad Garringhouse and the like will still face charges and potentially be up shit's creek without a paddle. So it's good news in that it looks like judicial precedent that the SEC was thinking was going to make their lives easier and they could just apply, laws from 1843 or something to crypto. Judicial precedent is starting to say, look, you can't, just because this asset may look to you like a security, you can't apply these old laws to this asset, and thus it's not. So make some new laws. Well, the SEC doesn't make laws, but somebody needs to make the laws, and the SEC needs to essentially go out and enforce them. So I think it's good news. It's good news for every asset in that respect. But it's not enough good news to mean that the SEC still can't go fuck around with us. Why? And I don't mean us as in Coinmetro. I just mean us as an industry in general. I think I read somewhere that XRP or Ripple, has spent 200 million or something defending themselves. Well, Coinmetro doesn't have 200 million. Most assets out there couldn't spend 200 million. And so just because they lose one case doesn't mean they can't adjust. Like, this is their case right now, and they go, and they go after the next guy and they lose or win or whatever. It depends on what side of the fence you're on, right? So I mean, people get, crypto Twitter is fucking ridiculous, right? Because some small thing happens, everybody goes nuts, and it's great. Market goes down 90%, goes up 2% the next day, and everybody's buying a Lambo again. This happens. An ETF, everybody's clamoring for an ETF to be approved. I guarantee an ETF being approved isn't going to do shit for the market in the short term, medium term, and potentially even long term, to be honest. At this point, meaningless. But crypto Twitter thinks it's meaningful. So anyway, I went off on a tangent there. I apologize. When ignium. I don't know what that means, so I'm moving on. Do you think the courts are... Well, yes, absolutely. Things that happen in the U.S. On the regulatory front affect the entire world, unfortunately, or fortunately. I mean, if it's a win, it's a win, right? Listing ARB would be a good idea. All right. What are good occupations for a NEET? I don't know what a NEET is. That must be an abbreviation. I must be too old. You'll have to spell it out for me. Are there any updates on the German fund? Yeah, German fund's probably not going to work out. But this current investor that we're in talks with, I believe, has legs, and it's moving along briskly. Stockbrokers are able to offer 4.5 interest on deposits. Why do you think they can afford it? Well, because they're using that money probably to provide some type of potentially margin or leverage to clients, where they charge significantly more than 4.5% interest, or they're simply putting that into money market accounts that historically have paid about 10% a year, and they're hedging their bets that they're going to be able to pay 4.5. I mean, finance in general, when you talk about interest, is a pretty easy game, right? They're obviously making more than 4.5, or at least they assume they will make more than 4.5. Given the fact that of what rates are 5.25 in the US, they could simply have that in a relatively risk-free investment. However, when rates change, or if interest rates continue to balloon, but the market itself, like if they had that, let's say in some type of money market, and interest rates continue to go up, let's say 7-8%, which I don't think is going to happen, but just hear me out. And then the stock market starts to slow down, and the stock market only returns 3 or 4. You get my point. So this is what we've seen: bank closures, banks getting shut down because they played it the easy way and then got screwed because the Fed raised rates like I don't know, like the building was on fire. The idea would be to retrieve several of FKM's utilities. Okay, I'm getting this. I don't know what the first part of this is, Charlie. That's right. I read the first part, 50 XCM. Yeah, I think I've already commented on it, so probably no need to do it again. Does CM have a license that can enable you to pay interest on fiat? No. No, we don't. There's still a way we could do that, though. We take the fiat, we put it into a fiat stablecoin. We use that in one way or another to make interest. Understand that any interest-bearing asset underneath that is a risk-driven strategy. You can't pay out interest unless you earn interest, and earning interest is risk-based. So, just saying, right? Counterparty risk is a thing in crypto. What's the future like for XRP? Depends. We need to see whatever other judicial precedent comes out of the US. At the same time, I think we also need to be aware that when it comes to the crypto folk, nobody really likes XRP, and they still don't like XRP. And, again, we still have a lot of that case to go through. So I think you got to wait and see. Right now, it's going to be, it'll be volatile based on whatever comes out of the news, and that's it. But I don't expect anything too kind of, I don't know, too big of a vibration from XRP until we see that case complete. With Flux staking being a loss for Coinmetro right now, will you keep running nodes and hope for Flux rising in the future? I think we've been able to optimize to the point where it's not necessarily loss-making anymore. And I think that I'm pretty sure we're able, we make a very remedial small amount of money, but it's no longer loss-making. And the goal would be to continue to optimize if and when we can. And obviously, as price goes higher, well, we do better, and we would want to try to pass some of that off to our client base as well. Hey, Kevin, aside gems, there's still important major alts that should have been listed since months ago simply because of demand. Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about demands, and we've done this in the past, listed things based on demands and no volume. And so it's one thing to offer assets that current clients that are active with us want to trade, and that means more volume because they're trading more assets. The other thing is listing something assuming, oh, well, everybody has Dogecoin. Everybody wants to trade Dogecoin. That'll just bring new clients. Not necessarily, because they're already somewhere else trading Dogecoin. You get my point? So I get it. And we are gonna try to be more active on listings. In fact, it's the top priority right now in tech is listings, to get some listings out the door. Behind that is payments and deposits and withdrawals. So we are working on it. It's just, I think some of these like easy wins that people imagine are going to change the world, we've kind of shown they don't. That doesn't mean they all would. There could be this one listing we do that somehow, changes the game. If you remember, we had a very good, we never delisted XRP. We made that public. I even did a podcast and a few interviews about it. Right? Because our reach wasn't large enough. Maybe we didn't make enough noise, maybe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we still didn't see the type of reaction that many assumed we would. When will you pay out the Flux Parallel assets from last year? Hey, Holger, parallel assets. I think about that. I think we already did. I could be wrong. That's more of a product question, though, but I'm pretty sure we already did. I know that there was another airdrop just here recently that's getting paid out very soon. But I believe we're up to date on parallel assets. What's your opinion on all this Binance stuff on crypto Twitter? Seems like the BTC maxis want Binance to go down. Well, I've said a million times that Binance, FTX, not much of a different story, to be honest. The only difference is BNB still worth money. So, hello, Kevin. Hope you are fine. Question: if Coinmetro would be bankrupt, what will happen to my assets? Will I lose them as well? Thanks for your strength, positive leadership. Well, in the scenario where any company goes bankrupt, it goes into liquidation. Then the liquidator goes and tries to collect all the assets from wherever they may be, bank accounts, custody providers, liquidity providers, etc. That takes time. They get all the assets together and they pay out. So your assets exist somewhere, whether it's within our cold wallets, mini wallets, warm wallets, etc., etc. It would take time. There's usually costs involved. So, even if there's 103% of assets available, pay out maybe 95%. That's the bad thing about liquidators, because they charge money and take their time. When offices in UAE, also any chat with people from UAE area and updates to share. Still have a few feelers going out in the UAE area. Nothing really to share, to be honest. Offices in the UAE will happen after this fundraising round is complete. We will go and get that full license in the UAE as well from VARA and potentially even from Abu Dhabi. I don't know yet, depending on what that strategy is going to look like based on when we actually go out to get the licenses, right? So, but yeah, nothing really to share from the UAE, though we do have some active people on the ground, talking about us. Trading conditions, execution speeds, spreads, and slippage are still not enough. I guess are still too much, right? Because if they were not enough, do you not have enough slippage, or not enough spread, or not enough speed? Okay, but the other ones don't. Anyway, also we need integrations with third-party platforms. What's your take on this? Well, we need a lot of stuff, and we'll always need a lot of stuff, and there's always great ideas. I guess imagine you have a conundrum where you have resources, list of to-dos, prioritization. Now, before that prioritization, you have crises, website goes down, data issue, LP went down, risk shot up through the roof. Two LPs were cannibalizing each other last night, whatever, then that there's always a crisis in the financial business, never mind crypto, there's always a crisis, right? So resources smaller, priority list really hard to put together. Why? Well, if I had to ask you, I don't know, new listings, more deposit methods, integrations, or complete retooling of a network. And let's assume, now this isn't the case, let's assume one guy has the ability to do those things, but he can only do one thing at a time. And which one do you start with, right? Now, you make a decision. Maybe yours is integration. So you start kicking off integrations this week. Early next week, somebody found a bug that could potentially, I don't know, drain our bank accounts or something, So you work on that. When you complete that, you start to work on integration again. Then you find out that the API documentation has changed, even though you did 30% of the work. Or you find out that, they sent you they sent you an old version. Our apologies. There's a new version since we sent it to you a month ago, but we didn't send it to you because we didn't know you needed it. Anyway, you get my point. This is the day-to-day life of a developer or whatever. And with a crypto exchange, let me tell you, life every day is interesting. There's never a dull moment. There's always something new to take your time away from something that you wanted to prioritize. And your priorities change based on runway, based on shareholders, based on the board, based on whatever. So I agree with you that integrations potentially could bring us more business. I also agree that I'll be really honest with you, when it comes to retail traders in general, execution speed, spreads, and slippage are never the first things they think about, or price, to be honest. Even though those are the things that most people think they think about. Now, traders who are trying to arb, et cetera, will think about those things. Now the question is, how much of our current revenue comes from people who care about execution speed, spreads, and slippage? How much comes from people who don't necessarily think about those things? And if we were to adjust them, how much time would it take, and how much would we delay new deposit methods, which could potentially get more money on the platform for people who don't care about execution speed, spreads, and slippage? Again, this is all kind of a made-up scenario, but in reality, this is how this business works day in and day out. When Solana and CADEX listing? I haven't seen those on our short list, so probably not in the short term. Also, any plans on adding layer 2 support for stables? Yes, that's been in planning for a while now. I don't know if not sure if Polygon stables already supported. No, not yet. I mean, we've written to the infrastructure, so it should be relatively easy for us to support, but we haven't started supporting yet. And yes, that is also something that's on the radar. Again, kind of the same answer I just gave to the last guy. By the way, I could get you many Mexican high net worth clients, but first we need SPI for direct national transfers. Well, high net worth is one thing. Do they want to invest in a crypto exchange, by the way? High net worth is one thing. The other side of that is volume, because they could put a bunch of money on the platform and never trade it, or trade it very infrequently, or just buy Bitcoin once and sit on it, right? That is not necessarily enough for us to be able to go out and get those type of transfers. I was in talks with a company waiting on pricing that can give us SPI in Mexico. If the pricing is okay, I will move forward. I told you I'm not taking over banking partners again. I will move forward and get that done, and then we can talk. All right. So ask me next time. Do you think about using passkeys for sign-on in the future? You mean like YubiKeys? That's been in the works, and actually some of that was already written by one of our previous tech guys. We just never completed it. So yes, also something that's been in the works. Any thoughts on the FedNow payment system? According to some news, the big banks adopted and are using it. Will this also be an option for CM besides ACH? Well, yeah, they are already using it. To be honest, most ACH between banks was already instant. They just they would just hold your money usually for half a business day at a minimum, and now they don't. To be honest, I don't think they changed too much of the rails between ACH and FedNow. It's just a rebranding, a bit of an incentive for banks to credit your money quicker. So I would have to assume that the banks banking and banking service providers that provide us with ACH and ACH Instant would automatically provide FedNow. Why? ACH Instant comes with a risk because they take the risk of a potential chargeback. With FedNow, they probably wouldn't have to take that risk. So it would behoove them to integrate. And once they integrate, we'd be able to offer it. So my assumption would be yes, but that's an assumption. Your grandmother wears shin pads whilst shopping. Shin pads? I'm trying to think why that would be funny. Knee pads, I kind of, that's kind of funny. Shin pads. What about ankle warmers? Can you put the funds you will try to make XEM liquid again with, which I think will end up as wasted money, spend instead on marketing? Hey, MVB. So we would not just jump in the market and buy the wall, if that's what you're thinking. Funding would essentially be us having both automated solutions to create a market and also having traders actively trading in the XCM market with a goal of not necessarily making money, but not losing money. That would not mean just buying out the wall. And it would be a much smaller portion of the money raised than we would put towards marketing. Don't you think that higher participation on Twitter by you and or the staff would be sufficiently positive for Coinmetro to justify the activity? Maybe. I don't know. I myself, I try to jump. I go on Twitter and I look around every day. To be honest, there's so much nonsense on Twitter. I sometimes don't know if I should comment on it or not because I may just sound like, a cranky old bastard because 99% of the shit I read on Twitter is garbage. But yeah, potentially. I mean, I think as a company, we are more active on Twitter than probably we've ever been. I think most of our content is actually decent. We haven't really seen a major connection between growth and our activity on Twitter. Much more activity on Twitter. Could that potentially mean better growth? Yeah, potentially. It's not something we've been focusing on because we have seen other efforts, both internal and external, give back more than, let's say, too much activity on Twitter. I think to some extent as well, if you post too much, then it's kind of like people just get lost in the tweets and they're not really paying attention. What's your favorite Mumford and Sons song? Wow. I don't even know. Maybe I don't know who Mumford and Sons are. Does that make me not old? Can you elaborate on why ETF being approved is not bullish? Crypto Twitter should be interested in hearing this. Sure. So the reason why having an ETF approved way back in the day was, one, we had zero regulatory certainty. Many people thought that regulators were going to potentially would regulate crypto to kill it. There was no real easy way for institutions to buy crypto, Bitcoin or whatever. And so this idea of, oh my God, if we were to get an ETF approved, one, that means regulators like us and they think this is a real thing. Two, normal investors would be able to buy Bitcoin. Well, normal investors can already buy Bitcoin and they are buying Bitcoin. And the guys who can't yet buy Bitcoin because they don't understand how to use a centralized exchange, for example, or any of the other million bajillion ways there are to buy Bitcoin right now, could now get exposure in the same account they get exposure to other markets. And they're not doing it because they just don't have an ETF, I think would be a very small impact. And I think crypto Twitter would be happy about it for a day or two or 3 days or 5 days. Oh boy, this is going to change the market. And it wouldn't. And I've seen that with, a lot of different things. We've seen that so many times now with, when this happens. Oh, when BlackRock gets involved in crypto. Well, they are now, or at least the cat's out of the bag that they are. What happened? Nothing. Oh, when, the likes of Fidelity get involved. Well, they are. What happened? Nothing. Oh, when we start to see more media exposure, we got that. What happened? So, to me, getting an ETF is just like, who fucking cares? Because those people can already buy Bitcoin if they wanted to. And again, the people that can't or just don't because it's not available through their local brokerage. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I don't see why that even should be bullish. I see why it was bullish, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Now, no. Any opinion about gold with all the BRICS planning to do it? Look, silver is much more finite than gold. There's a lot of gold in the world, a lot of gold still to be mined. The only reason gold is worth as much as it is because women think it's shiny and pretty. Silver has more uses. I mean, anyway, we can go on and on for that, on and on. And it's used in, medical devices and more scientific devices and more electronics than gold is. In space, blah, 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 blah. So I think, I kind of look at gold bugs the same way I look at Bitcoin maxis, which is, it's kind of like somebody who was born in the town, lived that town their whole life. When someone said, why ain't you never left the town? They're like, well, it's the best place on earth. Why would I leave? Are there allegations true about you in 2015 at Peter Andre's concert? I don't even know who Peter Andre is. But if I happen to be at a concert, I'd love to hear about it. 2015, what was I doing in 2015? I don't know. SNB depegged the euro from the Swiss franc. That was rough. That was January 15th, 2015. Nightmare. Hey, Kev, do you rate Cadena or Parsec higher than Credo? Higher. Well, I'd have to ask you how specifically, I guess. Hi, Kevin. Will CM eventually have its own hot wallet? You mean wallet services? Maybe. I mean, we do have our own hot wallets. We built them specifically for Ethereum because BitGo didn't support all the assets we wanted to support. But in terms of like giving you a private key and allowing you to manage your own wallet, I think we'll probably do that through third parties. That's non-custodial, like I talked about earlier in the show, which is you want to trade with us, you open a wallet, say at Fireblocks or at Credo, and then you just put some crypto in there. You got the keys to it. You never have to transfer that crypto to us, but you can still trade on the exchange. That's probably, I think, how we're going to do it rather than us managing wallet services. Yes, I missed one word. Trading conditions still not good enough. Yeah. I was messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you. More than Dodge, please at least list Sol, Stellar. Stellar is listed. I thought, don't we have Uni as well? And Hedera. We have Hedera as well. Dude, we have most of the stuff on that list, I think. We don't have Toncoin and Sol, though. Maybe did we list Sol in the last round? A couple last rounds? I don't know, man. I think we have most of the stuff on that list. Kevin, I fully expect Coinmetro to integrate fully within his DeFi when it's up and running, just like how Coinbase is so integrated with ETH and Layer 2s. Thoughts? I think that would be interesting, and it would be down the line of our hybrid model. So definitely be interested to talk about it with Cadena, for sure. Could Coinmetro get a debit card in the future? Yeah, man, we've been working on that so long. Every time that we get close, the provider has a problem and or is no longer a provider of ours. So yeah, we will. Why hasn't Sol been considered? Maybe we haven't listed Sol, sorry. Being one of the biggest with many active developers and interesting use cases, also a very liquid tradable asset. I remember having a discussion about Sol, and the consensus here, and this is early on, is that it was too centralized and wasn't like sexy for us. Now that was before we had a listing committee and we actually looked at things like who cares what we think, but does this make sense for the business? So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will come up in another round. We are starting to list things that aren't necessarily on our historical wish list. Your mic is very sensitive. Could you please stop playing with the paper on your table? I don't have any paper. Hey, look, I'll show you. No paper on the table. I think I'm actually just fidgeting in my chair or moving my fingers. But yeah, no paper on the table. Maybe it's the mouse. I don't know, but I'll try to stop. I apologize. I'm thinking something like a Coinmetro DeFi wallet. Again, I would be absolutely happy to talk about that for sure with Cadena and work on it if it makes sense for both parties. You're super smart, and your conversational voice of reason would eventually crack Twitter. I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm really that smart, or I just am really good at acting smart. Damn, Kev, bear market has you super jaded. I've become the same way. Yeah. I might be jaded just for comedic value right now. I'm not actually that jaded, to be honest. I mean, I'm jaded about life in general because, I'm 40-ish, and you can't have any success in life, be 40-ish and not be jaded, I think. Impossible. With gold, I mean, for backing their central bank reserves, et cetera. And aren't the ETFs a good vehicle for larger traditional institutional investments through local commercial banks? Yes, they are. My point is to say that those traditional institutional investments are already coming into Bitcoin via other means. And I'm not sure that an ETF, you already have 3 other ways to get in the market, but here's a 4th, is generally going to make a big change. That's my point. When Metro Dex. Sometimes dealing with regulators and stuff, I think, fuck, Metro Dex tomorrow. But I don't know, no plans for that right now. Do you think mass adoption of crypto is likely a decade away? I think by the time this technology and transferring of value across blockchains is truly mass adopted, we won't be using the word crypto. Any ETA and PvP transfer between CM clients? That's Harold, man. You got to ask Oliver about that one. That literally was on a short list, I think, like Q4 last year, Q1 this year. And then, well, like I talked about in another answer, I don't know, like somebody shot a missile at the office or something, and everybody had to get buckets of water to put it out. And then as soon as we put that out, a bunch of cats came in and peed all over the carpet. There's always something that's happening. And so something got derailed somewhere. But yeah, that should be an easy win for us. It was already, I know it was designed. I don't know if it was coded. It was definitely designed. It got through design. It was approved, etc. Yes, Luminous Stellar. All right. I knew I had at least one on that list I was right about. Gold ETF was very bullish. Yeah, but that's because historically speaking, you had to buy physical gold, which isn't the easiest thing, or you had to buy physical gold and hope that the guy storing it didn't steal it from you. A little bit different with crypto, I think. Speaking of stable coins, I see I'm looking into the Euro stable coins like Status. We did at some point. We actually contacted them a few times. They never contacted us back. So I would love to have a Euro-based stable coin that had some liquidity, had some volume, and that our liquidity providers would settle with us. Yeah, be amazing. Please list Harmony One. I would love to trade it on spot and margin legally, especially since I'm a U.S. citizen and I always follow the rules. Appreciate that, DCF. Following the rules, always a good way to go about life. Maybe sometimes boring and people make fun of you. Not that I make fun of you, DCF. I don't get off the I'm not going to get off the AMA right now and say your mama jokes at your expense. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, Harmony One. I'll try to bring that up with a listing committee. I'll see what they have to say about that. By the way, I'm not on the listing committee, which I think is probably a good thing. Or maybe not. I don't know. Any more overseas trip plan? Always. Not planned yet right now. No, I'm going to be in Estonia for a bit longer. Got some things need to work out here. Also trying to get this investment round fully closed, and to do that, being a bit more closer to the team makes it a bit easier. So having a bit of fun being back in the office, and at least close to the office, same time zone, being able to pop in here every once in a while. It's nice. Your thoughts on future tokenized TradeFi and physical assets? Right now, the benefits of tokenization for TradeFi are small. As technology gets better, as cross-chain technology gets better, as the ability to move and have finite transactions done with consensus across multiple chains and liquidity pools get better, then tokenization will have a major effect. And yes, TradeFi will move to tokenize all assets, just like they dematerialized assets. They're going to digitize assets. That's going to happen. It's inevitable. On physical assets, right now, I think the utility of having a tokenized asset connected to a physical asset is gimmicky. But I do think that over time, we will see more use and more use cases and a better application of use cases for physical assets. You should pay Ireland to visit. Be glad to buy you a pint of Guinness. I was there. I will probably be there. Where was I? I was at the Titanic Hotel for an event last year, and I've been invited back to that same venue. So, yeah, I will definitely be in Ireland. That's Northern Ireland. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I said that once in a pub, and some guy almost, wanted to fight me. And then I stood up, and he realized I was like 6 feet taller than he was, and that would make him like 3 inches tall. For those of you in the metric system, that's about 7.5 centimeters. Just in case you want to do the math. Thoughts about THT? Has actually had some recent great calls with Andrew from THT. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on at THT that I wasn't even aware of, and I think they're going to be making news about that over the next months, and it could be a game changer for THT. A friend is a project to sell parts of properties, including rent income, through Polygon smart contracts. Sounds like a security, but maybe they'll fire Gensler and then, nobody will care. Gensler's definitely on his way out. Regardless if what you think he did was good, bad, or whatever, he's going to be on his way down. Nobody ever keeps that job that long. It's really hard not to fuck that job up, because it's always kind of a 50-50 split between people who think you're doing the right thing and people who think you're not. So you're always wrong, basically. It's kind of like being a CEO of a crypto exchange. On that note, 58 minutes, 59 seconds in. Oh, shit. Wait. Is there a reason for Render and Okta to exist when centralized data centers are stronger and cheaper? Well, I guess that's kind of like the argument of, is there a reason for the Ford Model 1 to exist when my horse can run faster and I don't need to put gas in it? We all know that the Model 1 then turned into like a Lamborghini. And of course we need Lambos, because what would we do with all our crazy crypto profits? Am I right? And what would we sell to the pawn shop during, crypto winter when we couldn't buy any more ramen noodles? Am I right? So I think, decentralization of data sounds really cool. And there's probably, I'm not a data, scientist, but I think at some point decentralization of data, whether it be for privacy, whether it be for security, whether it be for a myriad of probably other reasons, is probably a really cool thing. And so I do think that while Render and Okta might not make the biggest difference right now, Render and Okta or its kind of likeness in 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years may make a hell of a lot of difference. So, Cadena's proof of work, man. Come on. Again, we have a listing committee. We're going to be listing some new stuff. I don't think Cass is on that list. People were asking us to list that. To be honest, I kind of saw a little bit of, I saw too many people too happy about it, which usually means pump and dump. And so we saw that, I think. And now, I don't want to list things that are here just to try and make money on their token. I want to list things that are actually going to make a dent in changing and benefiting the end user. Now, I'm not saying Cass isn't that, but at least up to this point, it doesn't look like that to me. Again, I'm not on the listing committee, so don't blame me, but that's my input. You the man, Kevin, thanks as always for your time and insights. Thanks, Crypto Junkie. Thanks for hanging out and listening to me babble for an hour. The tokenized properties are in Mexico, by the way, so no regulation. Well, I don't know if the Banco de Mexico and the Comisión Nacional de Bancos y Valores would take your lead on the fact there being no regulation for tokenized properties. But if let's assume they don't, send me a message about that on Telegram, man, and let me know about it. I might be interested to have a chat. Thanks, Kev. Godspeed. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. Yeah, I am more energized. Plus being back here with the team and kind of hanging out, even if it's just to pop my head in here and through calls, it's nice to be home. Yeah. So anyway, and also talking to you guys. I like talking to you guys, to be honest. Sometimes I don't like talking to you, Harold. Just to be honest, I'm gonna throw that out there. But at the end of the day, I appreciate all the time you spend on in our chat rooms and most of the time trying to, I think, do good stuff. So I appreciate that. Plus, I think me and you are going to talk next week. So get ready for that. Thanks a lot for everybody for being here. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Spend time with friends and family. I got to come out with a new end line because this was a whole COVID thing, like spend time with friends and family. Anyway, you're supposed to spend time with friends and family, man. Decompress a little bit. Stop looking at charts for a little bit. Don't worry about trading for a little bit. Spend time with people you like. Hopefully at least like, even better if you love them, but if you like them, that's okay too, I guess. Tell everybody you know about XCM. And if you happen to be at a coffee shop, Starbucks, and somebody says that they just won the lottery or they just sold their tech startup for, 26 million, tell them that you got a really good place to put 25. Have a great weekend, everybody. And see you guys back here in about a month or so, but see you on Telegram. You can always tag me at Kevin Murcko. You can tweet me at Kevin Murcko. Ask me a question. I'll answer it, no matter how weird it is. If I don't answer it, just tag me again. Sometimes I miss them. I get too many messages. So sometimes I have trouble prioritizing them all. Okay. Have a great day, everybody. Cheers, man. And thanks for everything.